Chick-fil-A has opened its first restaurant with a quote elevated drive-through. According
In
to
so many
US
ways, right? In so many
Ri
ways,
Oh, yeah.
elevated.
So
Yes.
elevated, and yes, I can't wait to talk about this. According to USA Today, the drive-through only restaurant features 4 drive-through lanes and an elevated kitchen with a quote unique meal transport system described by the company as a quote sophisticated conveyor belt that streamlines food delivery by quote quickly moving the meal from elevated kitchen above to a team member on the ground below, end quote. The kitchen is also double the size of a typical Chick-fil-A restaurant kitchen. There is no dining room or dine-in services at this restaurant, but the 4-lane drive-through has the capacity to support, quote, 2 to 3 times more vehicles than a standard Chick-fil-A restaurant drive-through. And what do you think of the
Yes.
idea of Chick-fil-A opening restaurant locations without a dining room?
You set this one up for me because you know
Oh,
that
I
I love it.
100% did.
You know that I think this is great. It's the same reason I lauded
Do
Starbucks
you?
last week and got a bunch of
Wow.
backlash from you and some of the A&M team. But I don't think you need space to eat inside. I think that this is going to do exactly what Chick-fil-A sets out to do. They are going to be your go-to because they are the most convenient option. They are like defining quick serve with quality and a quick experience through in and out of that drive through, which I think it can only be improved. Like there's always lines outside of there. I think this is a brilliant move. And I'm excited to see like if they continue to roll this out. They're like one of the most innovative QSR retailers out there. And I think that it's
They
going to
are.
be interesting to see like if this works, first of all, and then how quickly we start to see the Chick-fil-A in our neighborhood that starting to exhibit this. But you go to Chick-fil-A more than I do. So what are your thoughts? Like, are
Yeah,
you
yeah. My
excited
my
about
fast
this?
food habits are gonna come up quite often on this
They
podcast.
are, they
Um,
are. Yeah.
so wait, so you're saying you would want more Chick-fil-A's like this throughout the country?
For
That's what you're saying?
100%, 100%. I think,
100%.
yeah, you get the
Okay.
flywheel customer because,
Okay.
I'm downloading the app. I'm giving you information about me. I'm placing orders ahead of time. Because I'm getting things quicker and the quality is still there. I'm going to keep coming back to you because I know I'm going to get in and out fast, better than even like a McDonald's or Burger King or some of the other places that are my other options. And I think that just continues this flywheel of like good customer engagement for Chick-fil-A consumers and me as a consumer getting a better overall experience.
Wow. Okay. See, I still disagree on this one because I think it takes Chick-fil-A out of the customer relationship. So I think you have to tread carefully here, similar to
Mm.
like we talked last week in Starbucks, because I'm of the opinion that your in-store experience, particularly for a quick serve restaurant, is what cements your brand in me as a consumer. Um, and hopefully, and that's why I have the feeling about Chick-fil-A that I do. That's why I have the feeling about In-N-Out the way that I do. And I think it's interesting that In-N-Out hasn't gone in this direction at all. Um, so I'm I hope Chick-fil-A is being smart about this and not thinking they're going to jump all in, and they're just looking at this as a smart deployment in a few situations where they need the capacity, quite
Yeah.
honestly. Because if you go the other way, I do worry that, you start to face the same issues that Starbucks has in the long run in terms of the operations. The other part I don't like about this is the whole concept, the elevated concept
Mhm.
just smells of mass production. And the other thing I thought about too is why are drive-through lanes bad? People seem like they're willing to wait in them. I waited 45 minutes in the In-N-Out drive-through in California a couple of weeks ago,
Oh.
multiple times in the week, and I didn't even sniff at it. And provided you have a good cycle time, like if you're getting the cars through every 2 minutes, it feels like it's moving fast. It's fine. I'm willing to wait. And so like the other thing too is like I ask you this, Ian, and I'm curious what your thoughts are. Which restaurant are you more likely to frequent more often, right? The Chick-fil-A that's the small one near your house, or the mega 4-lane drive-through with 100 cars going through it that's gonna be kind of overwhelming? I mean, I'm kind of when
Mm.
you put
I
you when
disagree.
you disagree, so
I think it comes
you'd
no,
go to
I
the
think it
mega trafficked Chick-fil-A automated process retrieval system?
I
That's
don't
what you do versus
I
your
don't
local one? See, I
I
think I'd
don't
go the
think
other
that
way.
way. I don't think that way. I
Alright,
think
yeah,
that
okay.
one question that I have for you is like, how wonderful was this experience that you had the last time that you sat inside a Chick-fil-A, a Starbucks? Like,
It was
It's
really
not that
good. Chick-fil-A's experience is really good. Their
I
in-store
know that
experience is really good.
the ordering, I'm talking about like you keep talking about the ambiance and the atmosphere and like it's this experience to be eating and dining inside of these places. Like I don't think it's possible. I think that you look at the quality, you have to look at the convenience first and the quality of the product. And like Chick-fil-A stands by that quality is great. People are willing to wait in line, but if they're across the street from each other and I have the option of going through the 4-lane drive-through or the single lane drive-through because it's the people are nicer. If I've got hungry kids and I need to get somewhere, it's about how fast I can get out of there. So I think it's just catering to those two different types of customers, and we'll see. Like maybe it's not. I think you bring up a good point. Like, does it need to be the 4-lane drive-throughs at every single place? Probably not. It's a huge capex investment for Chick-fil-A that's probably not going to work everywhere. But in these high volume areas, I do think that I'm more likely to go to Chick-fil-A than an In-N-Out. I'm not willing to sit in the line for 45 minutes. Maybe on vacation or something that's
Uh-huh.
different, but like I'm not willing to sit in that line anymore. And I think that people aren't willing to sit in the Starbucks line either. And that's where the problems are really coming from. It's not about like needing to have the experience inside of a Starbucks.
There's interesting 2 points to me. One is managing the production flow operations of your food, getting that in the customer is very different than managing the service operations of how you interact with your customer. And
Right.
so the service operations of a Chick-fil-A in this environment will change
Mm-hmm.
100%. And what they're
Mm-hmm.
known for in terms of good service and human to human interactions is going to morph because now you're dealing with interactions of my drive-through order is wrong, my mobile pickup order is wrong. Like, who do I talk to for that? How do I get help with that? All achievable, but more complicated than traditionally done at Chick-fil-A. So I
Mm-hmm.
think that's an issue. The other part about Starbucks too, just to go back to that, I was in a Starbucks on Friday.
Yeah.
I met somebody there. There was nowhere to sit. The place was dirty. Every table was unclean. It was disgusting.
Exactly my point. You don't need that experience. Just go get your coffee. Starbucks is the go-to for coffee. You want to go sit down and have an experience. I think that's when you lean on your local coffee shop.
No, see, but I don't want to because Starbucks is everywhere. It's easy to be like, and that's why so many business meetings happen at Starbucks. It's like, hey, let's meet at the Starbucks. Like that's why. And so
Yeah.
like that's gonna be, I'm more reticent now to go get that extra coffee at my meeting at Starbucks, which I gotta think there's a lot of extra coffees being bought from Starbucks meetings throughout the years. But I don't know.
I don't
Time will
know.
tell,
There's a
and
hell of a lot of people that were coming in yesterday with Starbucks cups who had the option of free coffee or all the places, but they're like, I
yeah.
like my Starbucks. It's the same everywhere, whether I'm in Singapore, I'm in New York, and I can count on
Yeah.
this coffee and it's going to be exactly what I want. Like, I really think it comes down to the product. But
I think the other point that we agree on fundamentally is like,
yeah,
okay, it's probably the right thing to do because you went to a pickup only store the other
yep,
day too in New York and
yep,
you loved it. The,
yeah,
the the right approach is probably there are some pickup only options. Just how many of them do you need? How
for
big do they
sure.
need to be to
For sure.
to pump everything in, and then make the other ones still what the Starbucks you need that has the
Yes.
experience that you want, right?
Yes, and that's the reserve. Like go to the reserve and sit
Well,
down and then they care about what the in-store experience looks like. I think it's just
yeah,
it gets to be a disaster. Like counting on the in-store experience. Chick-fil-A might be an anomaly, but like when you go into a McDonald's or like Chipotle, like no one's cleaning those tables. It's just better to go and take my food and get out of there. So anyway, I sound like an old cranky lady. Let's go.
well, but service is why the margins are, why the prices are higher at some of these restaurants too. Like
Mhm.
that plays into it. So like,
Yeah.
yeah. But anyway, let's keep
Oh
rolling.
my
This
God,
will
we
be
could
an
debate
endless
this
debate. I can't
forever.
wait to watch it because all these companies are going,
Yeah.
high on the hog into this type
Yeah.
of thing.